Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TV show podcast. Today we are talking to, or I am talking to, and you're going to be have the privilege of listening into a conversation I'm going to have with my good friend Charles Ogar. Before we move on, I'd like to allow Charles to give us a quick intro or bio of who you are and why we should give a damn.
Why we should give a damn? That's that's a loaded question, because you and I have a lot of history, because we know each other from the dance scene, and sometimes in my Facebook memories I remember the workshop where you came down to Houston to come and take a weekender when I was living in Houston teaching Kizomba at the time. And then I feel like you helped me get my first membership site up, and we've had a couple of milestones and stuff like that over the years. And I think even during the pandemic we got to a point where we started having our Jedi meetings and stuff like that. So glad to be on the show here with you. A little bit about me. I guess I'm most well known for being a Kizomba instructor over the years and running a festival, the Neo Kizomba Festival, from that point. I love creating intellectual dance content, from blogs to graphics to YouTube videos and podcasts and all these kind of things. I've had you on my podcast, and that was awesome to be on your podcast. We have a couple of things. I like there's like a online lineage of us together. But I am a dancepreneur in a nutshell, and I enjoy working in the dance scene, creating opportunities. And recently I've been learning coding as well, so I'm getting into the coding world and actually applying that coding knowledge to the dance scene as well, because why not? But that's kind of been my jam. So African-American entrepreneur working in the dance scene over the past almost decade now.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We've known each other. You were my first Kizomba instructor, quote unquote, and probably one of the longest friendships I've had in the community. So thanks for that. We have a long history. We have a lot of work. We've worked together. I've done some work for you, and we've collaborated on things, and definitely have had our Jedi sessions where we sit down. And we were doing weekly sessions every week and just sharing what we got going on and what we're trying to work on to develop our growing and projects that we're working on, how just trying to help each other along the way. That was fun. I think we did it for over a year, which was crazy. But the reason for this particular podcast is that we share something that is a bit tragic, actually. I'm having trouble figuring out how to seamlessly tie into a very morbid topic, which is that of death. I saw something recently that said that we look at death as if it's down the road, it's in the future, but in reality, it's ever present. It's every day. It's a facet of life. It's the reason we get out of bed and really hustle, because death is a looming thing, and we hope to do more with it. But specifically as it relates to us, is that we both had fathers that had strokes. We'll get into further details around that, but I'll start off with this notion, is that most fathers will say this, I don't care who they are, will say that I will die for my children. And that's beautiful, right? That's fantastic. And I don't care who they are, almost everyone will say that. However, the challenge and the big thought experiment is, will you live for them though?
That's deep right there.
And that's where we jump in, right? It is true in the sense that I'll just share my story, and then Charles, you jump in and share your story as it relates to our fathers and strokes, right? My father was a very independent Mexican man. Macho, different generation, different culture. He just ran the household with an iron fist. He didn't take care of his health. I didn't think about this till recently, but I've never, ever seen my father even so much as, I don't know, run, jog, play any sports, which is crazy, right? Because Mexicans love football. I mean, football, soccer.
Soccer.
Never in my life did I ever see him do anything remotely physical. So, and on top of that, he ate like crap. He drank He was an alcoholic. I have vivid memories of him throwing up blood in the toilet, coming home late at night from long binges, nightly binges. I've been a little sick.
No worries.
I had some congestion issues, and right now it's like a mess. So anyways, and one of the things that even as he was getting older and older and his health started to fail him, he was seeing a doctor and he was being encouraged to take his medication. He had diabetes. He has a handful of things that were obviously starting to catch up to him. And he just refused to do it. And at one point I actually told my family, I'm like, something's going to happen to him and it's going to be bad. And it's going to fall down on all of us. And sure enough, like when I recall saying that, like 2 or 3 weeks later, my father had a stroke. Basically put him on his ass. He had the belief that it's his body. He works his ass off. He deserves to eat what he wants, drink what he wants, which on some level I can understand and respect. However, the problem with that idea is that it's not just him. After the stroke, it was obvious that the family was going to have to pick up the slack. I'm not going to get into more details because I want you, Charles, to share your story of your father and some of the circumstances that you got.
1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got a call and now there's music playing in my headphones and I don't know where it's coming from. What the hell?
Oh, that was me. Man, I think it's the most I've talked.
Oh, it's coming from. That was very weird. I was watching a review of a puck light on Amazon. I get a call. I turn off the Bluetooth from my call to listen to my phones, and then the other tab audio starts playing. So weird.
It defaulted to auto playing that, huh?
Let me close all those other tabs and put my phone on D&D. Sorry about that. All right. I'm back. So going into sharing my dad's stuff, yeah?
Yeah. And just the similarities in terms of, working and busting his ass and whatnot.
Yeah. So my dad is an immigrant, or was an immigrant, I should say. It's been very fascinating to say is versus was. I've been finding myself catching myself in that phrasing. It's like, oh, my dad is Nigerian, but now I'm saying my dad was Nigerian because he passed away in October. We're in December now, so 2 months ago, my dad passed away from having a stroke. So, yeah. He came from Nigeria, searching for the American dream, went to college, got his degree, all that kind of stuff. And I was the firstborn. So, the firstborn son of the immigrant coming to America is definitely a position that those parents definitely hold of high esteem. Another interesting fact is that I'm the oldest of 8. So there was 8 of us as well in the household. So it's been very fascinating to think about my dad's life and how hard he worked, and he was definitely a workaholic. It was interesting to hear you talk about football and soccer and things of that nature, because I remember my dad did play soccer. Soccer is huge in Africa. Shout out to any Argentinians that are listening right now. Congratulations on the World Cup. Seeing you guys celebrate has been awesome. But my dad actually, I do have a lot of memories of my dad working out and playing tennis specifically. But that was on his younger side. But I guess maybe as he started to get older and have more kids, there was definitely, as he got into more of an entrepreneurial world, he definitely worked a lot. And he worked international commerce, I guess you could say, because he was shipping things back and forth. So there's time zone difference. So he's up late, up early. Trying to get things done, all that kind of stuff, And I feel like as he got older, less working out, less exercising, and more stress for sure. And my mom would share all the time, my dad's blood pressure is high. He's always high, he's always stressed out, but my dad was hard-headed. He didn't want to go to the doctor. He didn't want to take any blood pressure medicine. anything like that, but he would talk your ear off about like the dangers of like eating meats, and you should eat more vegetables and things of that nature. So it's really crazy to like hear that compromise, and it's like, don't eat meat, don't eat meat, don't eat meat, don't eat meat, and it's talking about the health and like we're supposed to eat naturally, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like blood pressure is a real thing. It's not a made up thing from Western medicine. Yeah, this is like the way that our bodies work. And just staying on top of your blood pressure is like, you don't want to take any medicine, that's fine, but still stay on top of your blood pressure and find out what you can do naturally to like get it down, you know? So yeah, he ended up having a stroke in May, and that was a huge hit for the family. My mom had to start taking care of him. He was paralyzed on the left side, and he was able to like talk and like see what was going on in general, like in May, but just like over the past couple of months, like some things started to get better and other things didn't. And yeah, eventually he declined until like one day he just stopped eating and stopped taking his supplements and things of that nature that my mom was giving to him. And I want to say like 3 days after he stopped eating, he definitely passed away. And yeah, I was able to drive to Houston to go see him. And yeah, it was unfortunate because it's like, was this preventable, you know? And going back to the quote that you were saying before, it's like, hey, I do anything for my kids. I die for my kid. I'll jump in front of a bullet for my kids to protect them, you know? But are you able to actually stop hustling so hard and prioritize your health and your well-being so you can live longer? Because we're all going to eventually die, you know? So it's not about avoiding death, you know, but like prolonging it so you can be with them longer.
Yeah, I remember when you told me, and I lost it almost as if he was my father in a way. And as a friend, I felt you. I felt the sadness around that, obviously. But I lost control. I was emotional, and I ranted a bit because I knew what you were about to go through, or at least a version of what you were about to go through. The moment my father had a stroke, we all had to band together to show up and start to support my mom and do what we could for him. By the way, my father did not die. Sorry. No worries. I could just feel this congestion to where it's like annoying me. My father did not die, but it did leave him disabled. To this day, he has very little strength in his left side of his body. He tends to slur. And he can't care for himself. He wants to drive, but he can't drive. He wants to drive in his truck because he wants to just, to me, it's the equivalent of think of a man and his horse. He wants to see the road, which is crazy to me. I'm like, Dad, you're never going to drive again. He actually wanted to buy my girlfriend's car recently. I'm like, why? He's like, because I want to drive. I'm like, Dad, you're never driving. If you do, you're putting somebody's life in danger. But where was I going with that? Pardon me. My point is, I knew what you were going to go through and what the family was going to go through, because now, and this is the main point of all this, is as fathers, as men, as human beings, we have to care for ourselves. If we care for our family, if we truly care about our children, we should do a better job of caring for ourselves, because someone's going to have to care for you. Someone has to fill in those roles. For me, my mom right now, for us, our mom fills a major part of the caregiving role. And my baby sister. My baby sister has pretty much, her and her family are pretty much the system that takes care of them day to day, because they're both older. But my mom is there every single day, whereas my dad used to take off all the time and just get out of Dodge and go get drunk and do whatever he wanted. Now he can't even run away. He's stuck at home with a woman that really is not crazy about him. And all the children, like, we all have lives. All of us have families. My baby sister, luckily, is in a place where she can support, and she has this wanting and desire to do so. But it's just so hard. So when it happened to you, my heart broke for you, bro. Because I knew your siblings were going to have to fill in and come in. And eventually, and this is what I told you, is whatever string you were holding on to your family, because we all have stuff in our families, right? It was going to start to fracture whatever was keeping you together, because it's putting stress. People are going to like, who's going to take care of dad? Who's going to do this? Who's going to wipe his butt? Who's going to take him to the doctor? Who's going to... And I told you, I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you other than I'm sorry. I love you, brother. I hope everything works out. So when you told me that your father passed away, I was like, I almost cried myself, but I definitely got really emotional for you.
Yeah, well, for sure. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to say that what should we be doing as individuals? Shouldn't we be taking? I guess a bigger topic is, as we're getting older, our parents are getting older, and a lot of our peers are running into these same situations. A lot of our colleagues and peers and people that we know are like, what do we do? Nobody's given us a script or an outline for this.
Yeah, so there's this narrative like you have to work really hard and kind of like break your back and to earn wealth. And this even overlaps with like wealth and earning money and scarcity of money, because maybe it is a scarcity of a money mindset that even drives them to work as hard as they were working, you know.
I respect the hustle for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, they're doing the best that they can. You know, you're an immigrant from another country and you're trying to like hustle and provide for your family and things of nature. So it's definitely something to be honored and recognized and appreciated for sure, you know. But yeah, going to the strain on the family, you know, like it's very interesting because they were the breadwinners, you know. So like they were paying the bills, they're going to work, they're paying the taxes on the house, the insurance and all these things, managing the bank accounts and things of that nature, you know. And that's an important role to play, but you cannot do it by yourself. And like my dad was notorious for not including my mom in like financial decisions and things of that nature. He's like, oh, nope, I got it. I'm the macho man. I can handle it and all that kind of stuff, you know. And even the way that he ran his business, there's like no systems in place. There's no processes. There's no documentation or anything like that. So my dad was an entrepreneur as well. He had his business. So when he had his stroke, since like passwords to accounts all in his head or in his phone or wherever he kept them, no asset management, no will, no deed passing over or anything of that nature, you know.
A transition plan.
Yeah, so that was really stressful because power of attorneys had to get placed, medical power of attorneys and things of that nature had to scramble and learn about all these things, you know. But it's like, if you know that you're going to get older, planning ahead of time is going to be something that's like, hey, I care about my family, so I'm going to have a will in place. I care about my family, so I'm going to have a power of attorney in place because I'm not Superman. I'm going to eventually die, and I want to make sure that my family is in place, and I want to make sure that things that I busted my ass for go to my family and not to the fucking government, you know? So I don't know where this ego thing that they have sometimes of like not asking for help and not supporting themselves, or not being willing to like ask questions or look at another authority figure and take advice from them. You know, they just wanted to be like their own one-man show to a degree. And it was really sad because like my dad busted his ass for almost, I'm 38 now, so at least almost 4 decades, you know. And then it was kind of sucky to see all that hard work just kind of like shrivel away, because the moment he had a stroke, no more business, no more flights, no more airports, none of that, because nothing was in place to kind of like not be dependent on him. So like, is it like this weird, like, I want you to continue to be dependent on me type of situation mixed with ego to where like I can handle everything and I'm Superman and I don't need any help, versus like this distaste towards authority and things of that nature, you know? I know it's a little bit different with your dad because he was drinking and things of that nature. I don't think my dad did any of that, but it's still like a neglect of your own self, you know? And, you know, like when you're on the plane, before you give a mask to anybody else, you have to put on your own masks for you to be able to help somebody else, you know?
I definitely think that it's this ego, this fear, masked as ego, fear of death. Like, obviously, he knew he was getting older. Our dads have to know, like, death is looming. It's like I said, I think I may have said this before we started. this idea that death is at the end of the road is actually in our lives every single day. So we need to fear it and know and respect it. Like for me, I like to think that I have a healthy respect for it. But my father almost felt, or he portrayed himself. So I have to be careful with that because we don't speak a lot. So I'm almost making up stories, to be honest. But he definitely portrayed himself as as invincible. He would argue with us because he was getting older and he was on a handful of medications, and yet he wasn't taking them. So it's like, why even bother going to the doctor? Like that was bananas to me. And I remember you telling me crap. His insulin levels were through the roof, and like there's a reason that this medicine is given to you. And he would say stuff like, "Hey, it's my life. Nobody gives a shit about me. I'm gonna die, and everybody's gonna forget about me." And like that's tough to hear as a son. They're like, "Are you serious? Like you really believe that?" But he just refused to do it because he felt he was indestructible, and that somehow or another he can escape death. Like dude, you're not that nimble. Come on. And then when it happened, I mean, that's the other thing. When he had his stroke, he became the softest man I've ever met. He went from the hardest, rudest, most obnoxious.
El chingón.
Más o menos, yeah. And to where now he is really soft because I think he's starting. Obviously, he has a choice. He has no choice but to sit and go nowhere and realize, like, oh crap, I'm stuck here, and he's remorseful. So he's become a big softy. But before that he was anything but that. I lost my train of thought because I'm all over the place. I have like 10 things I want to say because this is something I'm very passionate about. Okay, I know what it was. I think he's taught me a lot. One thing I know about my father is that he definitely has taught me a lot about what I shouldn't do. When it comes to me being a dad and a father to my daughters, I got a lot from him. He modeled what I wasn't going to do. I made it so crystal clear because he did a lot of things that I wouldn't do. He was there for us. I want to make sure to pay respect. Like he did hustle and he did bust his ass. He got us here. He worked his ass off for the longest. But then after that, there was a lot of things that were missing, and it's the culture. It's a different generation. So like I really want to acknowledge that. Like he was still there in some capacity, but he modeled what I didn't want to do. And let me backtrack a little bit. I want to also add to this. My brother passed away. He was 10 years old. He's 10 years older than me. Would be 10 years older than me this year. So he would be 57. He passed away. Oh man, I don't even know anymore. 5 or 6 years ago. He passed away first. He had a stroke. Same thing. And I'm also curious how much money played into it. Like refusing. So my brother was an entrepreneur. He had a trucking business. So I wonder how much he refused to go to the doctor or actually take care of his health just because of money, which is heartbreaking, right? You bust your ass, but there's not enough money for the actual health care. But he had a stroke and he died, which was tragic. Like out of nowhere, it seemed like out of nowhere. Although he had health issues. Not long after that, my father had a stroke. I'm like, oh shit, I got to start taking care of myself. I've always done a decent job, but realizing like it needs to be priority number one. Naval Ravikant, we both love, says that actually should be priority number one. You should be doing something physical first thing in the morning, taking care of yourself, because otherwise, what's the point of it all?
Exactly.
Like you can't appreciate life if your health is slowly deteriorating, or much worse as you get older. Now you can't appreciate all this that you've been building. But I started to take care of myself, and I guess the point I really want to get to as well is having a plan in place for my children to be able to get all my stuff, have access to everything, have them on the wheel. That's something I'll admit I need to do in January is have that in place. But I'm already transitioning, like giving them access to everything, because there's things that we can do as adults to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for our children.
Yeah, the pillar that I hear you talking about now is generational wealth. You know, as colored people, you know, and sons of immigrants, you know, like they are chasing the American dream and the wealth and things of that nature. And there's a whole subtopic of like trading your time for money, and how to accumulate money and like all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's a whole nother finance topic that we can go on. But since we're more on the topic of health with this podcast, I feel like having that plan in place is super important, because if not, all this work and things that you're building, if you don't have it in place, the government comes in. And they start to like auction off your assets and things of nature, because you're not passing it on to somebody else, you know? Even my mom, even though she was married to my dad for 30 plus years, she didn't have access to his bank accounts, you know? And so you have to like go get a death certificate and things of that nature. It's just like a lot of that work can be avoided if there's a plan in place. And yeah, you can have a will, and it can be a living will. You can go back and update it every year and things of that nature, you know, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And yeah, your health should be your primary one. Another thing I'll share here with your listeners is that I am a twice open heart surgery survivor. I've had it twice. So it's definitely something that I think about, and we're not invincible in that regard. So for the things that you care about, like what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're not here? Or in a case of emergency, who do you want to make medical decisions for you? You know, if you're incapacitated or unconscious and can't speak for yourself, who do you want to step up and make those decisions for you? You know, and I feel like this topic does not get talked about in the minority community. You know, you always see the statistics of like colored families have less asset value for their families compared to other white families, you know. And this is another topic as well, you know, like obviously there's like systemic racism and things of that nature that affect BIPOC people, you know, and that's definitely something that's in the system, you know. But like how much of it is just knowledge that is free that needs to be consumed and applied? You know, nobody's holding a gun to your head and say you can't go to the library. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and say you can't buy a book on Amazon on tax code. You know, nobody's holding a gun to your head and say that you can't pick up a thing and learn about how compound interest works and things of that nature. You know, the knowledge is out there, but why aren't we proactively seeking out that knowledge to better ourselves and to leave something behind for our future generations? You know, what's the blockage that's happening? Because before it was literal guns and whips and chains and lynchings and things of that nature, but now it's not.
No,
you know,
it's just lack of awareness for sure. Like you don't know what to search. You don't know, hey, is this even a thing to be able to search it? So just like we have generational wealth that we can pass along, it's just generational awareness and knowledge.
Generational forward, ignorance also, maybe.
Right there, right. I would like to think that moving forward, like we need to be conscious and aware that this is an issue, and that we need to make sure that we're protecting our kids. We're protecting what assets we have been able to accumulate, so our children, our descendants, can build on that.
Build on top of that, yes.
From the basement and shit, right? So, but to move on from that, I want to say back to the health side. I have a client who is a physical therapist, OptimoveDFW.com. Shouts out to Jeffrey Guild. While working with him, we've had a lot of conversations because he is a mobile physical therapy company that works specifically with the elderly, and more specifically with like 80 and 90-year-olds. Like that's their specialty. Like they go to their homes and help them. So we've done some podcast episodes where I'm interviewing him, and he basically, I'm asking questions because I am one of his ideal clients, and I'm asking questions as if I would hire him to help my parents. And he's made me aware of some things that I was not aware of. To give more grace to my father, and one of them being our parents' generation. Although sports has always been out there to some capacity, the whole health industry and fitness didn't exist back then.
That's fair.
He went as far as to say that he's talked to elderly, and where he's like encouraging them to exercise, and they're like, why didn't they exercise? And they're like, why would we exercise? We already went to work. Why should we come home and work out more? Like, that makes no sense. Like, so the psychology and the mindset of that era was way different, and that's why a lot of older people do struggle with it. They have a hard time because this mental block of like, why should I do that? Even though it's in their face. Like, dude, working out, and just my father won't even get up and walk, and I feel like it is a struggle for him. He won't do his exercises, and it pisses me off, and my sister and the family, like, it's for your own benefit, Dad. Like, mueve las nalgas, güey. Like, get your fucking ass up and just walk up and down. He's had, when people show up, he'll do the work, but when he has to do it on his own, he won't do the work. I'll come in, I'm like, Dad, you done your workouts? You done your exercises? Oh, yeah, mijo, yeah. My mom's in the corner, like, he's lying, he ain't doing shit. And it's frustrating, right? And I guess what I'm saying is we just nudge him as best you can, but at the end of the day, we can't overcome that mindset of, like, and I'm sure at this point with COVID, like, they're locked in the house with COVID and everything going on and this lack of mobility. He's like, what the fuck's the point?
Definitely. When you were talking about that, I thought of blue collar work versus white collar work and knowledge workers. You know, like, if you take a look at it, we got coders, we got graphic designers and things of that nature. So now you have more people that are sitting in front of a computer to earn their income, whereas before maybe they were under a truck or under a car or fucking roofing or something of that nature, you know. So, like, you've already busted your back. So how are you going to go back and, like, now start doing some crunches and stuff like that, you know? So that's a very fair point that I did not consider, for sure. But even that's a whole thing of, like, do you have to break your body in order to earn money, you know?
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
That was the norm. So, I mean, and I'm trying to be fair. I don't want to just beat my father up here. Like, he busted his ass, his physical labor, so why should I come home and work out some more? Well, because your body still hasn't really done much. So acknowledging the reality of it, like, just eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
Do some walking. Like,
walking is the basic one, but you don't have to go and, like, bench press 500 pounds, you know, but a walk outside. Stretching.
Nobody's asking them.
Is nice as well.
But once again, it's awareness. What stretches do I do? What's conducive to that? I am, like, so aggressively pursuing. Like, anytime I have a pain, I'm getting ahead of it. I have a physical therapist. Physical therapists are like superheroes. They have superpowers. They know how muscles are connected. I had a problem with my heel, and I was like, oh shit, this is real. Like, why is I would raise my leg up and my heel would hurt. I had a friend, I'm at networking. I talked to her when I went to a networking session, and she's like, 3 sessions, we got that. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, we can fix that. It's a simple fix. I'm like, and sure enough, 3 or 4 sessions. And I was done. But they're able to pinpoint. The problem is this. It was not cheap. It's like $300 a session. I'm like, okay. But do I take care of it now or do I put it off? Do I wait till I get a big-ass doctor's bill or medical hospital bill down the line, or do I take care of it now?
To where it's an emergency.
It's like I'm doing that because I have my father in the back of my head. I have my brother in the back of my head. Like, I cannot allow myself to get to a point where I'm 70 or 80 and all these things are stacking up. Like, speaking of compounding.
Yeah,
like all
definitely.
Those hips and joints and knees, and I got all types of pains. But staying on top of it, because it's going to eventually, like, tip and topple over the building. We have to be aware of it, and the information. Like, even if you can find these exercises by now, and this is what I challenge people. Like, if you have a pain, try to find a physical therapy exercise for it on YouTube. I bet somebody's already shared it.
Exactly.
So
going on that, if we talk about comparison of, like, maybe our father's generation to now, is the amount of information that is online now. You can pretty much YouTube anything right now, whereas before YouTube wasn't even a thing. So maybe you had to, like, find a book, but that's also going to be hard to figure out and all that kind of stuff. So maybe there's more knowledge around things now, and, like, you can freaking go down the internet rabbit hole on any topic you want nowadays, which is insane. So it's a lot easier, you know. So staying on top of those pains and things of that nature, because you're trying to live longer for the family that you care about, you know. And I think another thing is as well, it's like both of our fathers ended up becoming a burden. They went from the breadwinners and, like, hey, I have my family on my back, to now I need my family to bathe me and feed me, you know? Yeah. And so part of this mindset that is super important for our fathers and people in the Black community is like realizing like, hey, your time here is limited. You care about this family. We appreciate, we see your effort. We want to recognize that. We want to value that. But we also don't want to have you become a burden, because like we see that autonomy is important for you. We see that this independence is important for you. We want to help support you as you get older, so you can continue to have as much independence as you can, and you don't become a burden for all of us, for us who are trying to continue to build on top of what you've been building for us. Now I have to stop and work and like take care of you. Now I have to take a flight, and it's just like, it's not an opportune timing to like work so hard. You want to push your kids, but then you end up having a health emergency, and so now that's a detractor from the rest of the family. And the difference with us is like my dad's situation was maybe 5 months, and like it's been a few years now. So now it's an ongoing multiple year care process that now is taking away time from what your family could be using to like continue and build on their legacy of what they built so far. So it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot.
I feel like it has to be humiliating. Being that their ego was a big part of their identity. Like my dad would pound his chest. He was very, very proud man. And he ran his house, like I said, with a fist, iron fist. And to know that now he is where he is, he is in a place where he feels humiliated. He's acknowledged to me. I mean, I'll even give you a story where he was utterly embarrassed, and it's a humiliating story, but I'll share it anyways. So I was there with him, and he had to use the restroom. He had to pee. So this is early on in his rehab, and he's still struggling. Now he can stand and kind of walk, but he limps his way. Like he has enough strength to get along. But this particular day he had to pee, and I'm there. I'm like, okay, I'll help you. So I help him stand up. He has his little container, and he's right there, and I'm next to him. And then all of a sudden he loses control of his junk, and he's pissing all over me. I'm like, Dad, you're pissing on me. And he's like crying because he's so embarrassed. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's all right. Like, eventually we get it under control. I sit him down. I go wash off. I come back, and he's crying because he's humiliated. It's bad enough that he needs his son's help to make this happen, but now he pissed all over me. And I knew it was an accident, so I didn't take any offense to it. But I felt horrible for him that he had to go through that. He was in tears, and I don't say never seen him cry. It's very seldom. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen my father cry in my entire life. So that humiliation was big on him, and he apologized. He continues to apologize. The ego takes a hit, and on top of that, knowing that his children are here trying to care for them. And I guess what we're trying to say is we need to do better, us, now, children, no children, because someone's going to have to care for you, right? Yeah. We have to do better for ourselves to make sure that we live a longer life. And that at least, and maybe not longer, but at least we're able to do for ourselves, because our egos will take a hit. I can't imagine having to have my daughters help me wipe my butt, right? I'm hoping that by the time we get to that point, I have built the systems, I have paid for programs or insurance, whatever I got to do to ensure that I minimize that for them. Because after doing everything I've done for my entire life to help them create a life for themselves that they would be proud of, I don't need them to come back for me. I know they'll be there for me, but I don't need them to be like holding my hand. And I don't know, it's just, that's how I feel about that.
No, it's definitely an important point, because you mentioned humiliation, and you also mentioned ego, but it takes...
Can you come back 1 second? Can you go back about 10 seconds to say when you started that thread?
Yeah. So it's a really good point that you're bringing up, because you mentioned ego and you mentioned humiliation, and these are bigger doses of both. But maybe there is a little bit of ego that has to swallow, and a little bit of humiliation that you have to swallow to go and do a doctor's visit beforehand. You know, because like an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. You know, so had he taken a smaller dose of ego and was like, oh, you know, right, let me go to the doctor. Oh, you know, this health thing is important. Let me take my medicine. You know, those are little, I guess, moments of like, I don't want to say taking medicine is humiliating, but like just ego. Like you're putting yourself in thinking, wrong. Yeah, acknowledging that something's wrong. But then it's like even self-care, you know, like, you know, we talk about a lot about mental health nowadays, you know, there's like the love languages and things of that nature. And I know what mines are. And like my dad was also with the iron fist. And so he would like, no problem slapping you in the face or kicking you or anything like that, you know. And so as a person who has a high love language score for physical touch, then those things really hurt, you know, because it's like a double-edged sword. Like hugs are really, really nice, but also opposite things are really, really nice, you know. And it took me a long time to be able to like forgive my dad for those things and make me think about what were my dad's love languages? What were his dad's love languages, you know? Because sometimes we pass these things down from generation to generation, you know. And you mentioned before, you want to be the father that your dad wasn't, you know. And I feel like that's one way, like inspiration of like, I'm not going to be like you. But I feel like me at my dad's memorial service, I actually gave a speech and then gave a eulogy, you know. And there's an empathy. The anger subsides, you know, and there's a empathy for like, hey, Dad, I appreciate that you did the best that you did with the knowledge that you had, you know. And now I'm able to like take that and like end that generational trauma passing down. So if I ever have kids or anything like that, you know, I'm going to be so much more mentally aware and emotionally aware to not just take that trauma that from whatever happened, you know, with, you know, civil rights going on before and frustrations of not being able to get a job and however that looked in Africa. And like, there's just pain that's been passed down. And maybe it takes some time to like, hey, Dad, thanks for doing the best that you could with the knowledge that you had. I got it from here, and that cycle ends with me, you know. I feel like that's super important because I still have my brothers. I'm the oldest of 8, so I can kind of help be there for my brothers. And even it doesn't even have to be like the brothers of my blood, like any other younger person or older person that I can help with advice or knowledge or mentorship is going to just help the whole community kind of move forward. And even with this podcast, this is one of the things that's powerful with content creation. Us as sons of immigrants coming together as we get older to talk about these things that we can pass down to future generations. Whether your parent is listening and they have kids, or maybe you're in your 20s and your parents are in their 50s, so now you can start thinking about them. For the listeners, there's so many different ways that you can take this knowledge and start to think about, to either talk about your parents, or if you are a parent, talk to your kids and think of these things, because death is not something that's like, oh, a statistic that you hear on the news and things of that nature. Death is like, I have yet to hear anyone avoid it. Yeah, it's a thing, you know. So it's pretty solemn, and like you said, it's a morbid topic, but at the same time, it's like if you don't talk about it, then yeah, it just ends up becoming a burden. And let's say death didn't happen, like in the case of your dad, death didn't happen. He had a stroke, he didn't die, and now it's a multi-year care infrastructure that you have to kind of create to make his days comfortable. But now it's just something that he has to be carried through those days, you know. It's hard, man. It is absolutely hard. The family struggles with it. Like I said, I have a sister that does fill in, and she is fantastic at that. I'm not that great at it. I don't have the patience for him. I essentially have become, in a way, like him, like a father. What happened to where'd you go? Oh, there it is. There you go. I have become kind of the fatherly role, because I come in, I'm like, Dad, have you done your work? Slow down. Don't eat so fast. You're going to choke. And he's become kind of a child, and it's the craziest thing imaginable. But I try to be supportive, and that the various siblings are all filling different roles, which apparently is the norm. My client actually speaks to that. Like, some person is more of the leader role, the day-to-day role. Some are more financial role. Some is more bussing them back and forth because there's all types of appointments I have to go to, therapy here, therapy there.
But year after year, and I know it sounds like I'm just a resentful fuck, and it's not so much that as it is that I would like for others to learn from this, even if you don't have children. You don't have to do massive amounts of exercise to care for yourself, but your health, your well-being, if something were to happen to you because you didn't at least take care of the things that you can, the controllables. There's things that you can. If you have high blood sugar, if you have high cholesterol, if you have high blood pressure, any of those things, if there's things that you can do to medicine you can take, exercise, do it, man. Do it on the bare minimum for the people around you that will be left to care for you. And I'm at this point, I feel like I'm just being repetitive. Yeah, I'm sorry for that, guys. Really
no, you're fine, but I think you're driving a point home for them to listen, because this is real shit. This is real life and death, you know.
Yeah, I feel what one of our peers, her father passed away.
Cindy.
I know that she was struggling with it for years. He was living with her, if I'm not mistaken, and she was struggling with it. So it wasn't as top of mind for me as it was until I read that. What happened to you happened, and I think she shared her story, and then I'm like, oh crap, this is a very big problem internationally, nationally, in our communities. What can we do? And sort of go back to my client. In talking to him, this is a terrible problem that we as a society do not have a hold of, control of, which is what are we doing with our elderly in general, even if they care for themselves. We need to do a better job, at least, and I can't speak about nationally. I'm not trying to launch national policy, but what can we as individuals and as families do?
Yeah, I mean, you can stick them in a nursing home, you know, but then that ends up being just like a financial situation of what's going on, you know. I have another friend named Melissa, and she's of Asian descent. And, you know, it's interesting, like 30, getting closer to 40, and your peers around that age, they're talking to their parents. And either my peers around my age have had parents pass away, or they're getting to the point to where their parents are starting to have health issues, you know. And I feel like a common thread that I'm seeing, at least in my experience, is the immigrant parent not wanting to be proactive in staying on top of their health. Hey, get your blood pressure checked, you know, stay on top of it, you know. It does not make sense. I want your sacrifice to actually pay off. So let's not be silly. Let's honor that sacrifice. Let's appreciate, you know, what you did to bring us here. I appreciate you bringing me here and the opportunities that being in America upholds. Let's use this American technology and system in place to make sure that we have powers of attorneys that we have set up. Let's make sure that we're checking your blood pressure. Let's make sure you have a primary care physician, and let's set up a month, twice a year, to kind of get a checkup and things of this nature. You know, like these are small things we can keep in place, because your health is going to fail even if you have the best habits. Its body is going to shut down. You know, you're just trying to like prolong that so that way you can like I guess have an elderly period with grace and as least amount of humiliation as possible, versus I guess because of ignorance and like putting things off until it becomes an emergency, you know.
Death is always there. Ailment, falling apart, like the wear and tear on the body, like it's just natural progress. It's not to dismiss the reality of it all. It's just to have the idea, I guess, to promote what I'm trying to encourage and promote, and what we're talking about. The reason we share in our stories is to help encourage others to like do what you can to get ahead of the health as best you can by, I joked, but like eat a sandwich, have more salads, walk. Like that's the bare minimum like you could do. Just walk up and down. Have a healthy respect for those. When I was younger, I remember seeing the power walker, the older people walking the mall. Like, exactly. Oh, that's why they were so aggressive. Good for them. But taking care of what you can take care of, seeking, going to the doctor, and like if you have insurance, this is the thing about my father. He's always had health insurance. He's worked for a good company. He just didn't do the work. Like, why go to the doctor and get the medicine if you're not going to actually like take it? Like they're the professionals. So like respect the time that it took you to be there to get to that point. and all the work you've done, take the medicine and do the work. And then, of course,
it's interesting
I guess it's the transitional. Sorry, I was going to say the transitional plan to help, pass along the savings and the accounts and access to make sure that they're not left out in the wind. What ended up happening with your father's accounts and whatnot? Were you ever able to get into them?
Yeah, so we have a family lawyer that was able to help us and like kind of help support us and like let us know of like potential pitfalls that could happen if we don't have certain documents in place. So that was helpful to kind of have that guidance. But a lot of it would have been easier to handle had there been talks beforehand about like, hey, this is what's going to happen, And so, yeah, I feel like I'm thinking of my dad's eulogy that I gave, and there was a lot of compassion. I feel like my dad gave me trauma for sure, and I think there's like a maturing that goes through to kind of like see that like that trauma didn't directly come from him. It came from his parents and it's just like passed down, So obviously there are lots of things that my dad could have done better. At the same time, you also have to understand like what my dad had to surpass and kind of put up with to kind of push through, But yeah, this ego, to have so much ego and like rule with the iron fist, but then also to fail at caring for yourself is a very interesting paradigm, because you would think like, hey, like if you have a car or something of that nature, like, or a business, this material thing, like you're working, you're sacrificing your sleep for. If you have a car, you're going to do the maintenance and get the oil change and all that kind of stuff, But then why are you not looking at your own life and your own health and doing those maintenance routine things to kind of make sure that you're around to continue working on the business and to continue to keep your autonomy and independence? Yeah.
And ultimately it's for them, right? Yeah.
It's definitely for them at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's so they maintain that autonomy, maintain that pride. I'm all for him being like, he worked his ass off and he deserves to live it up. But it's unfortunate, and hopefully we're able to at least get people to start thinking about it, because I had my father live. Unfortunately, he passed away, and all our stories are going to vary, but we want to make sure that all that work pays off. What are we doing to make sure that our children, our descendants, are able to receive all that work, the effort? And I guess for your father, he overlooked
the fruits of that sacrifice.
He overlooked that there had to be something in place to ensure that no matter what happened, whether it be then or in 10 or 20 years, if he had survived, that there's ways to transition all this stuff, all the work that he's all the work he's put into it over the years, which I guess that's what we know about immigrants and let's just say immigrants, especially when they come to this country, is we know how to bust our ass, right? That's what our fathers did. They came here and they worked their asses off for as long as they could, but they didn't know what else came after that. Right? Like,
that's true.
There has to be legal things and access. Information needs to pass down. Holding on to the information is not going to benefit anyone. Like, so. Whew.
Definitely.
Charles, I really appreciate you. And I remember when a couple of times that we started talking about this and over the last few months, we got fired up. I wanted to make sure to include the information that my client shared, the physical therapist, to make sure to kind of taper that down a little bit, because I'm angry. I'm angry at my father, but at the same time knowing like, oh well, his generation busted their ass working hard labor, so then coming home, like that mindset just was not something that they could shift. So it forces me to not be a jerk as much, and acknowledge that different people had different access to different information, and just do the best we can for him now is what I'm trying to do. But ultimately, and this is what I've done, is that I've relaxed and just love on him as best I can when I see him, accept him, listen to his crazy stories, and just hope to make the last days that he has. Hope.
Yeah.
I feel like he might be alive for another 20 years, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to say how long they're going to be there, you know? So it's like, what dinner is going to be the last one, you know? What story that you hear is going to be the last one? Yeah, it's crazy to think like it's numbered. It's like, imagine if we woke up and like, hey, and we knew we were going to live until 100, you know? It's like, oh, yeah, I have 20 years left, you know? Or I have this year's left. And then we get close to it, it's like, oh, well, this is the last year. All right, this is going to be the last one, guys. We don't act like that. But, like, sometimes that's the case, you know? And so even when my dad passed away, you know, or, like, a friend is, like, going home, it's like, hey, text me when you get home because, like, I don't know if you're going to make it home with, like, a car accident or something of that nature. When's the last time you're going to hug someone? It's just crazy because, you know, you're all eventually going to pass away at unknown times. So I feel like you can definitely spiral off into, like, this whole existential dread type of situation because you don't know how long you're going to live. You don't know how long your kids are going to live and things of that nature. But like the kindness and compassion and things of that nature is super important, you know. And we just try to do the best we can and share this knowledge like we're doing in this podcast right now is super important. And I also want to publicly express some gratitude for the talks that we did have because that was super helpful around that time. I feel like I'm just now crawling out of that mental funk a little bit because the last couple of months have been kind of heavy. Just knowing that like that death and having it so close definitely affects you mentally for sure, you know. And I really appreciate the talks that we had to kind of just knowing that somebody else has also been through that and just express like love and care for that. I think that was super awesome. And so I want to also publicly thank you for lending an ear and sharing your experience as well. Lots of brotherly love, and I feel like that's important, especially as we move forward and like talk about our emotions. Talking about that as well, that's another point. Like, hey, two men getting on a call and talking about emotions and processing things, I feel like that's something that's healthy. So I'm glad that we have been able to have that bond over the years as well, and especially when it came to something heavy like this with a family health emergency, you know.
You said two things that could carry this podcast for another 30 threads of conversation that I could launch myself into. But we're right at about an hour. I will end it with this thread that you did leave, which is one thing that I've always tried to live by is I have a terrible memory, and I have such a terrible memory that I can't hold a grudge. And I like to think that I'm pretty forgiving and understanding of people's decisions, knowing that for my father, for example, that he did the best he could, given, and you said it for your father, the best he could with the resources he had. So thank him, right? Thanks to my father. So what I've always tried to do, and this is across the board, is try to, and my brother's a good example. I always loved on him. He was a tough man to love. He was really difficult. He was a version of my father. But every time I saw him, I'd love on him, care for him, give him a big hug, and I just shower him with love as best I can in the moments that I had with him. Because you never know when you're not going to see them again. Right? Something happens, life happens, death, right? It's right there. It's in the room right now, right? But I always made sure to love on them and accept them for who they were. And, you know, they are who they are, flawed and all. So when he passed away, I cried and I was mournful, but at the same time, I knew that I had a great last moment with him. This is true across the board with my children, my family, my daughters, my father, my mother. I try to always leave on a good note and remember that, because I can't hold grudges. It's like, fuck, bro, like we're not gonna be here tomorrow. And tomorrow may be a year from now, but there is a tomorrow where you were not here, and people are gonna say, oh my god, I just saw him yesterday. Oh my god. So I want to make sure that memory is going to be a good one, a rich one, one that actually is a good story that they will be able to tell, and not one where like, fuck, I was arguing with him about the bills. Like, like, so you made a great point. I love that. Try to, I guess, it just got into it. It's becoming a kumbaya episode. Love each other. Christmas, holidays, Hanukkah, whatever the hell you celebrate or don't celebrate. You don't know what's happening, what's around the corner. COVID just happened, right? yeah, do that. And we're not promised tomorrow, so appreciate each other, love each other, especially your family and your close ones around you. Check in on each other.
For sure.
Having said that, unless you have any last remarks, do you have anything?
No, just appreciation for having me here and to share these stories and using the power of content to help spread this story and to make a better impact on the future generations that are going to come after us.
These conversations matter, and recording them to me is a way to package them up, and hopefully they live for dozens, 20, 30, who knows how long, and somebody can, my descendants can listen to this and like, dang, he was on point. He was what changed the trajectory of our family. I hear it in his voice. Thank you, great grandpa TV, right? I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the vulnerability. I'm glad that we have our conversations and that we're able to share them, because it does take vulnerability. It takes some some strength. And for that, Charles, I appreciate you greatly. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for the conversations.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for tuning in, audience, to the TV show podcast. Once again, this is Charles Ogart. Oh, I'll ask you this. Charles, if anybody wants to find you or search you or stay connected with you, where can they find you?
I think the best thing to see everything that I do is to go to neokizomba.com/links, LINKS. You'll see podcasts, YouTube videos, blogs, courses, websites. I do a lot of different things, but that's the best way to kind of like see the things I do. And if anything interests you, you can check that out. Again, that's neokizomba.com/links. And I'm sure you'll include that in the show notes or something like that.
100%. I'll include in the show notes. And with that, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, leave a review. I can't think of anything else. Like, do all the things you're supposed to do on the internet, guys. I love you. Please share this and with someone that could appreciate and enjoy this message and learn from it, frankly. Until next time, my name is TV, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.